Rain poured hard that night, tapping against the metal roof of Owen Parker's small garage like an impatient knock from fate itself. The smell of oil, gasoline, and wet earth filled the air as he tightened the last bolt under a dented old truck. His hands were rough, scarred, and stained with years of honest work. The faint sound of laughter echoed from the nearby town hall, the place where his old classmates were celebrating their 10-year high school reunion. The same classmates who had once called him loser, trash boy, and charity case. Owen wiped his hands on a rag and stared at the invitation lying on his workbench. An invitation sent by Blake Turner, his former classmate and the worst of the bullies. The gold lettering looked fancy, but Owen knew the intent behind it wasn't kindness. Blake wanted to remind him of who he used to be, the poor kid from the wrong side of town, the widowed single dad who barely scraped by. If you believe in second chances, kindness, and the power of karma, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because this story will prove that what goes around truly comes around. 10 years ago, Owen had nothing. After high school, his dreams of college disappeared when his girlfriend, Emma, became pregnant. They tried to make it work, building a life together in a small apartment. But when she passed away after giving birth to their son, Ethan, everything fell apart. Owen became a single father overnight. He worked 3 jobs, mechanic by day, janitor by night, and food delivery driver on weekends, just to keep the lights on and his son fed. He'd often come home past midnight, exhausted, only to find little Ethan asleep on the couch clutching one of his old shirts, waiting for his dad to come home. Those nights broke him and healed him at the same time. He promised himself that no matter how hard life got, he would never give up, not for himself, but for his boy. Meanwhile, Blake Turner's life went in the opposite direction. The golden boy of their high school, he inherited his father's auto dealership and bragged endlessly online about vacations, sports cars, and success. When he planned the high school reunion, he thought of Owen. "Let's invite him," Blake had told his friends with a smirk. "Let's see if he even has gas money to show up." They all laughed. Blake loved being the center of attention, and what better way to feel powerful than by mocking the man he used to torment? Owen saw the invitation and hesitated. He knew why they wanted him there. But something inside him whispered that maybe it was time to face his past, not to prove anything to them, but to prove something to himself. So he decided to go. But fate, it seemed, had its own plans. 2 nights before the reunion, Owen's old truck broke down outside the city while he was returning from a delivery. Rain poured as he popped open the hood, muttering under his breath. A sleek black car slowed down beside him, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, so polished it reflected the storm like a mirror. The window rolled down, and a woman's voice asked, "Need a hand?" That was the first time he met Valerie Sinclair. She wasn't just anyone, though Owen didn't know it then. Valerie was the CEO of Sinclair Motors, one of the biggest automotive empires in the country. But that night, she wasn't a billionaire. She was just a woman helping a stranded stranger in the rain. She handed him her umbrella and helped call for roadside assistance. When she found out he was a mechanic, she laughed lightly and said, "Well, you've got the right skills, just not the right tools tonight." Over the next few weeks, fate kept bringing them together. Valerie's car had another issue, and she asked Owen to take a look at it personally. She was surprised to find that his small garage, though worn down, was spotless and filled with neatly labeled tools. He treated every car like a living thing, speaking to it softly as he worked. She admired his passion and humility. He admired her grace and strength. Slowly, a friendship grew, one that neither expected. Valerie learned about Ethan, the boy with bright eyes who dreamed of building cars like his dad. She started visiting the garage often, bringing snacks for Ethan, and sometimes even staying to chat. Owen tried to keep his distance, knowing she lived in a world far above his. But Valerie saw something rare in him: integrity, compassion, and resilience. One day, she told him, "Owen, I've met men who run billion-dollar companies, but I've never met someone who carries more responsibility with more dignity than you do." When she offered him a contract to manage a new Sinclair Motors workshop, he hesitated. "I'm just a small-town mechanic," he said. Valerie smiled and replied, "Then it's about time the world sees what small-town mechanics can do." The months that followed changed everything. Owen's hard work turned that workshop into a success. His design ideas caught attention, his leadership inspired others, And within a year, Sinclair Motors offered him a permanent executive role overseeing quality operations. His life slowly transformed, not through luck, but through years of silent endurance that finally found its reward. When the day of the reunion finally arrived, Valerie asked him, "Are you ready to face them?" Owen smiled, adjusting his tie. "I'm not going there to show off. I'm going there to close an old chapter." The rain had stopped by the time the Rolls-Royce pulled up to the brightly lit hotel where the reunion was held. The valet rushed forward, wide-eyed, as the luxury car came to a halt. The door opened, and out stepped Owen in a tailored suit, his once rough hands now steady and confident. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they recognized him. Blake's laughter died in his throat. Then Valerie emerged beside him, radiant, poised, and unmistakably powerful. Cameras flashed. Whispering spread like wildfire. "Is that Valerie Sinclair?" someone whispered. "The billionaire CEO?" Owen greeted the stunned crowd with calm politeness, shaking hands, smiling gently. When he reached Blake, he could see the color drain from the man's face. Blake forced a laugh and said, "Wow, you clean up well, Parker." But his voice trembled. Owen just nodded and replied, "Life cleans us all up, if we let it." Inside the ballroom, as people toasted, danced, and whispered, Valerie stayed close to Owen. When someone asked how they met, she simply said, "He fixed my car and changed my life." That line made the entire room go silent. For the first time, Blake felt what Owen had felt years ago, small. But Owen didn't humiliate him. He didn't gloat or mock. Instead, when Blake approached him awkwardly later and muttered an apology, Owen simply said, "We all grow up sometime. I hope you find your reason to." As the night went on, Owen stepped outside for a breath of air. The rain had started again, falling softly on the parking lot. He looked at the Rolls-Royce, the symbol of how far life had brought him, and then up at the stars hidden behind the clouds. Valerie joined him, her hand slipping into his. "You did it," she whispered. He shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "We did it. Me, Ethan, and life finally giving back what it took away." Inside that moment, surrounded by distant laughter and the gentle rhythm of the rain, Owen realized something powerful. He had never truly been a loser. He was just a man waiting for his time, and it had finally come. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that hard work, kindness, and faith can rewrite destiny, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Help us spread stories that heal and inspire. Before we end, I want to ask you something special. Backhand index pointing right, what would you have done if you were in Owen's place that night? Comment your thoughts below. Your words might inspire someone who's struggling right now. As Owen and Valerie drove away that night, the reflection of the reunion lights shimmered on the wet road behind them, fading into the distance like ghosts of a past finally laid to rest. Somewhere inside that Rolls-Royce, a single father smiled, not because he'd won, but because he'd finally learned that the truest victory is living with grace after pain.